Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Wisdom B. This video we're gonna talk about Injustice. Really happy for that game. I know that before we only had a couple teaser trailers, the trailer or so, but now that we got like a full-on cinematic trailer, I think that I was never really hyped for the game, but now since the game we kind of know what's more about now, even though we had some gameplays and we kind of see what's so new about the game with the whole the tier system of looting, and after every fight you gain loot that actually enhances your character from stats to stuff like that, which is actually a really interesting thing that they're going to be doing. Hopefully Montreal actually balance that out. But on the other note, that cinematic trailer though, to start off with, it was pretty much the voiceover, the narrator. I'll get into that later, but it was kind of really just reanalyzing, kind of just saying what kind of happened from the first Injustice game. And if you guys didn't play that, definitely give that game a go, or at least watch it on YouTube, something like that, because that game's story was amazing. It's a very twisted alternate universe, just to get that off, just in case none of you guys know what Injustice is, or Injustice 2, which everybody should. It's the alternate storyline between where the superheroes that you think you know and the villains that you think you know, some has went rogue, some went evil, some went good. For starters, the biggest change to this universe is that the fact that Superman's wife died, and it was the fact that he was on fear toxins that Joker put him on, and he killed his own wife because of he was on fear toxins, basically on drugs, couldn't control himself. For whatever reason, he killed Lois, and with that, he actually had a son on the way. So he killed not just Lois, but his son or child that was on the way. So he went insanely mad, because if you kind of see from, I don't want to really pull it from the comics, but kind of just see from not Injustice, but the what's the movie that came out, Batman v Superman. You can see that what they were trying to build up, which I don't think they'll ever probably really do. Maybe they'll do it, but you'll see that Superman was in the first scene, he gets very kind of like dark and twisted whenever that guy had the gun pointed towards Lois' head, and you can see that he gets a little, you see he's a little different, and so he knows he's about a year and a half in, or so a year and 8 months in, and you can see that he's changed a little bit. And throughout the end of the movie, he almost made a decision where he had to kill Batman in order to save the people he loved, his mom. And I think that you see that if it wasn't for Lois, he would have gone to that point. And Lois is the only thing that's really keeping him from going to the other side. That's the only thing he feels that can keep him and kind of like guide him, is really his guidance. His ultimate person who he goes to, and whenever he's going through these struggles of being a superhero, who he goes to. And fundamentally, that she's built on her to her support to really guide him to being Superman, what he should be. But with that said, you could see that he, without Lois and without that sense, he in this alternate universe has gone completely mad. He's basically become an angry god in a sense, because of the fact, or a tyrant, and he kills Joker in the first game. That was a very, very first scene. It was a very brutal tone that went off for the game that was really, really great. And that's what I really love starting off with the game, is that I think this is why the game or this alternate universe, or just the comics of this game that they're going off, is so interesting, because Superman becomes so much more of an important and much of more of a unique character now that you see why he's went rogue and why he is mad, and just his personality as a tyrant or as an anger god really sets the tone of the game, and kind of why the game is called Injustice Gods Among Us, where you see the calamities of what these so-called superheroes can become if they're not controlled, or if they go evil, if they, something happens that they, and that's something that Batman was talking about when it came to Superman. In the movie Superman, in Batman versus Superman, he said, he could burn the whole place down and we can't do anything about it, and it's true. And that's if you guys didn't understand that, that was the main conflict in Batman versus Superman, or even if in the original animated movies or in the comics, that's what Batman was, his big worry about Superman, is that he is basically impossible or unstoppable to beat unless you have kryptonite or his weakness. Otherwise, it's impossible to go up against him. And if he becomes evil, it's basically the end of the world for everybody. So I think that that's what set the tone for this universe. And kind of saying that, in the first game, Lex Luthor died, and he was actually a hero, actually trying to stop Superman and get over past his his desire to be whatever he wants to be. I don't know what Lex was trying to be the savior, but he wanted to save actually the planet instead of, going his evil desires. Joker dies in his universe, that's pretty cool. But getting back to the actual video, it really got me excited for the game now that I've seen the trailer and know what the story's going to be about now. We got, and really excited me is that we got characters like Supergirl, we got Bane coming in, we got Poison Ivy coming in, we got Darkseid that's going to be a pre-order character. And all these new characters or this new roster is what got me excited for the game as well. And then as well as a story. And I think that the really good, what's so great about the trailer that set the tone was the fact that the narrator was Brainiac. Brainiac was watching the whole time. And Brainiac is probably going to have a unique but probably correct perspective on humanity, and just how he's describing the the lines of how they call themselves heroes, and then how it's reinitialized to become a superhero, and then becomes an angry god or a tyrant Superman. Or we have Batman, who he's a protector but becomes a vigilante, or becomes condones a very action that he hates to do, and becomes what he hates, what he hated to be. So that's what's so interesting is that about Brainiac's his perspective on everything, and his narration is basically what he thinks of Earth, or the people of Earth and everything. And so he says at the end of the trailer, he says lines are redrawn. And I'm not sure if that was something that he meant as like, now all of you are gonna have to come against me and fight me, or if in some point during the story he's actually gonna turn all of them to become his slaves. And that will be that's something that has happened in the past animated movies and in some of the comics as well. So I'm not sure if he meant that, or if he meant that all of you are gonna fight me now because I'm your biggest threat. I am, I'm not Superman. I'm gonna take over everything, and this is gonna become my world. And seeing his perspective, he sees that pretty much all of you are like pathetic, and like, how could you start out with this, perspective, or start out with this, position, and then end up on the other side of what you didn't want to become. And he sees that as, I guess, everybody becoming weak, and he sees that everybody's a slave to power, and that nobody's originally who they were supposed to be anymore. So that's really awesome. And we know Brainiac is going to be the main villain of this story, or of this arc. But it could be the fact that maybe Superman and Brainiac is maybe the main villains of this plot of the game. Or it could be Superman might be a sub-villain of the game early on, and then he switches, and everybody now sees who's the biggest, threat now, and everybody has to come together and form up as a Justice League, and fight Brainiac, and he's the biggest threat of the world and probably destroy it or take over the world. So that would be a really cool way to kind of like, it's kind of like a huge big reunion for the Justice League and everybody come together and, you know, fight the opposition and get over past everything that has happened. And I think that, you know, that's going to be a really, I think the story's going to be really, really good. Just because, you know, we know what happened in the past game, and we all know that how bad blood has gotten between all of the characters and, you know, stuff like that. But we know Batman's trying to pick up the pieces of the regime that, you know, Superman started, and some people are trying to take Superman out of prison. So it's really gonna be interesting what's gonna happen in this game. How is it gonna start off and how is it gonna finish? But I have high hopes for it because the first game story was insanely good. It was dark, twisted. It was alternate. Superman's an angry guy, tyrant, killing Shazam, killing whoever because he's mad of the fact that his wife died, and he feels that everybody else shouldn't be happy and, you know, the world should be his. It's a really good story, the first one. So the second one's probably gonna blow everybody's minds away. Now the fact that it's not gonna be Superman, which we thought at the end of Injustice, he was going to be the main villain for the second one, but now it's Brainiac. So it's, or maybe Brainiac and him is going to be working together, and, you know, but I really think it's going to be like Brainiac's going to be main villain, and then Superman's going to be sub villain for the, you know, first couple, you know, chapters in the game, and then he switches on over and everybody gets together to fight Brainiac because he's a true threat. He's the true, you know, powerhouse villain of the Injustice 2 universe. So we'll see what happens, but I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna form up into Justice League and fight Brainiac, which is gonna be, it's gonna be pretty good. I can't wait for it. So I'm definitely gonna get the Ultimate Edition now that I see the character roster a little bit more. I didn't like the character roster as much for the first game, but, you know, that's fine. The second one, they're adding in new characters as well as different characters and stuff like that. And Darkseid's going to be in the game as long as you pre-order the game, which I'm pretty sure he's going to become available later on in a couple months after the game comes out. But I'm excited for the game. I'm definitely going to get the Ultimate Edition. Love the first game. I'm not really like a Mortal Kombat or like a, you know, but for Injustice, I'll let it slide just because it's DC and that's one of my favorite cinematic comic universes besides Marvel. So that's a game I'm gonna be playing upcoming this year. You guys are gonna be looking forward to some of that content. So thank you guys if you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you guys are new. Show your boys your support. And I will see you guys in the next video. And meanwhile, you guys have a great day.